Hey everyone, my name is Vincent. We're just going to give everybody a couple more minutes to join the Twitter space, and then we'll kick things off. All right, let's begin. So my name is Vincent, VP of Growth at Lumera Protocol. Today, this Foundry AMA is basically addressing what's to come for Lumera going forward into the rest of Q1, Q2, and Q3 and onwards, and all the exciting things that are going to be announced in the near future. Today we also have Anthony, one of the co-founders of Lumera Protocol, here with us. So if you guys have any questions, this would be the perfect time to fire off to us. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown as to all the exciting things that are to come. But before that, we'll give Anthony a quick moment to give a quick intro to himself, so that you guys can all hear from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously excited to have you all here. The Foundry program is super exciting. It's obviously, more than just a community engagement and reward accruing program. It's really our way of turning infrastructure and turning a lot of the tools and services that we're building into an economy. When we onboard services and when we start to procure clients, it's super critical that we get a lot of those services both tested and scaled and trialed prior to rolling them out to a lot of the clients that are really partnering with us and leveraging things like storage services or AI or inference workloads or authenticity and data verification tools. So think about Foundry as more than really a grant program, but it's a way that we can really attract services that generate real network work. And we start with obviously a lot of the ecosystem early adopters and users, and whether they're doing things through the hub or generally engaging and interacting with a variety of our broader Foundry programs. We really built the Foundry ecosystem to cover a lot of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Foundry is a great gateway for everybody to get acquainted with what Lumera is building. And of course, with the Foundry, that obviously leads towards, us introducing the hub, which basically is essentially a one-stop shop for all of our users. It's a great way for you to access your wallet, to send transactions, to stake, restake, undelegate tokens, also participate in the DeFi aspect. And then, as you all know, initially we had launched Cascade on testnet, and then now Cascade is fully operational on mainnet. And another exciting announcement we have is that we're launching the hub on mainnet in the coming weeks. So then at that point, you can utilize all the Loom that you've acquired from, our Foundry program as well as our general airdrops to basically utilize our network services on the mainnet. And all of this basically leads towards also further participation and partnerships with other networks and projects. So we do have a lot of exciting projects that we are kind of finalizing, the agreements with and partnerships with. There's going to be a lot of marketing initiatives launching forward into Q1 because of those partnerships. So stay tuned for all of that. There's going to be plenty of new quests engaging with both our ecosystem as well as our partner ecosystems, and as well as our goal to our roadmap and our eventual goal to get listed on the centralized exchange in Q1 as well this year. And so all of that leads to a lot of activity that will be happening on our Foundry. And it's definitely an exciting time for you to, participate as well as share with your friends to get them to engage and participate in our network as well, and both supporting us in our growth. So I guess just to give a quick rundown for those, that are joining, as well as, new people who are just, curious about Lumera and what we have going on for, this whole year. In Q1, we launched Cascade on mainnet. That's extremely exciting. It's now super functional, and we are, in the process of onboarding several projects as well as partners to basically begin utilizing our services. We are also in the process of, getting listed on the centralized exchange, as you guys all saw earlier, with our support from Chainalysis. That's definitely one of the, hurdles that we had to get through. Once we have acquired support from them, this makes it a lot easier, both from the listing perspective as well as eventually getting the on-off ramp support, which is what we would also expect to be coming in the coming months as well. So there's going to be a lot more functionality and features for the network, which I think all of you will be extremely excited for. On top of that, we also plan to get an additional support every quarter for an additional multi-chain wallet, albeit whether it be Ledger, MetaMask, Trezor, or Burrito wallet and things like that. These are all kind of players, Trust Wallet, that we are currently engaging in talks with and getting support from. Moving onwards into Q2, there's going to be more focus towards both having support from the EVM ecosystem and as well as begin working with projects within the SVM ecosystem. On top of that, we do plan to launch Inference in testnet during that time. So that'll also be extremely exciting for the community to basically have access to all this additional compute, access to all these different new AI models. As you guys have maybe been following on the news recently, there's new Kimi models and things like that, which are highly competitive and can basically, match a lot of the performance of these major players, whether it be from Anthropic, whether it be from Google or, OpenAI. And so a lot of these new models that are coming onto market, we will be, implementing it in our network and enabling our supernodes to basically process all those requests. On the topic of supernodes, we've also began our supernode program. We've had a lot of applicants. Currently, there's just a little shy over 30 and more coming in on a daily basis. Every week, we are onboarding a few supernodes from our supernodes program. If you guys have any interest or experience in running supernodes, please feel free to apply. We're more than happy to scale our supernodes, which ultimately support all of the services on our network, both the Cascade, Sense, and Inference. All of these supernodes are responsible for those services, and they acquire 98% of all service fees. 2% of service fees acquired will be returned back to the foundation, and the foundation will then use those proceeds to ultimately grow the ecosystem, whether it's through marketing initiatives or through developer grants as well. And so the Supernode program has been launched. It's been operating very successfully. Every week we are scaling 2 to 3 more supernodes into our ecosystem. And, we expect to have, probably close to 100 supernodes by the end of this year, if not more. I'll take a quick pause right now. Is there anything that you would like to add to this where I'm going with, Anthony?
Yeah, for sure. I think you definitely covered a lot. The few things I'd say, just to take a step back, as you mentioned, Foundry is obviously our quote unquote gateway hub where users can really onboard to complete a number of actions across the network, earn rewards, etc. But what we're most excited about is really the focal point of this, which is the hub itself. And as Vincent mentioned, the hub is really where you can go and do all things Lumera, right? Connecting a wallet, staking, messing around with some of our initial services and tools. And if you've really used Foundry before, you'll find that a lot of the existing campaigns or quests are linked directly to the hub on a go-forward basis. As users are aware, Lumera isn't just a general purpose L1. There's a lot of real tools and exciting use cases, right? We've crossed a ton of data stores that's already put on chain via Cascade. We've been onboarding with new partners. A lot of those are going to be coming live in the coming weeks as well. And so really a combination of both the Foundry program and the hub itself both lowers the learning curve with respect to what we do, but also gives users a guided path and really shows what actually matters on the network. How do we kind of churn a complex protocol into something that's usable for our users, similar to how our developers would use these tools as well, but a way that they're familiar with, similar to kind of like Dropbox or Google Cloud, etc. Obviously, rewards are tied to doing real things on the network, not just clicking buttons. And the goal is really to incentivize a lot of that early participation while simultaneously helping users learn the stack and also bootstrap real activity on the network. So you earn rewards by using Lumera, right? Not by just spamming it. And Foundry is really that kind of community engagement and protocol engagement tool itself. With regards to what we're doing and where we're going, most networks really optimize for TVL or wallet count, but we've consistently optimized for how much real work is actually happening per block. And what that really signals to the market is, fewer idle wallets, fewer fake users, more meaningful on-chain activity, and really better and more predictable long-term fee quality, the protocol revenue or the fees that supernode operators generate for providing these services. And so when you think about obviously tying that back to Foundry, again, it's really not just about onboarding users. It's about shaping early traffic so that the network grows correctly. Early networks a lot of times are super fragile. There's a lot of random spam activity that can really distort economics as well. But Foundry allows us to really guide usage while simultaneously observing a lot of the load patterns and then really fine-tuning both the services, the economic models, how we deploy these services across our partners as we're really starting to scale. So we're learning from real usage before we're consistently opening up to the floodgates. And we do this with our early partners as well, whether it's Injective Protocol or others, right? And what's exciting is, Lumera is really one of the few chains out there that's been designed for these stateful workflows. This is a strong differentiator where if you look at most networks out there, most L1s, you have these stateless transactions, you have these short-lived executions, but Lumera assumes that data is persistent, that there's ongoing computation, and that there's repeated interaction across the same assets. And so what's key with this is that things like AI, things like storage, they don't behave like swaps, right? And the chain has to reflect that, which is why we have something called proof of service. It's about reliability, not just activity. Doing work isn't something that's just valuable, right? It's about doing it reliably over time. And the key alpha here is that we're measuring service execution. We're obviously measuring consistency, and longer term operators are favored more than opportunists. And so with this in mind, you start to see more predictable rewards, less boom bust emission cycles, and stronger validator operator alignment overall.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, the way everything has been designed, it's actually pretty ingenious in many ways. You know, as you all know, like a lot of networks, they have limited validator slots. And, beyond the validators being able to participate and to get rewards, that's basically it. For us, we've very much had it such that, we have these supernodes, which are then much more focused on the heavier computational side of things, whether it be the storage, the inference, the AI usage, and as well as utilizing Sense. And all of these supernodes are responsible for those services. And there is no cap to how many supernodes can exist on the network. This really enables a very community-like driven way of, providing support to the network in a very permissionless way as well. Anybody that has, Loom, they can self-stake to basically start a supernode and operating and get service fees. And if you don't have enough Loom, if you have proven that, you're a very strong service provider through our validator program, you can also get support through the foundation as well, and basically getting that initial Loom to basically help bootstrap your supernode, and then eventually, once you've acquired enough Loom yourself, you can then self-stake and then be fully operational independently. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways for everybody to participate in this network, whether you're participating through utilizing our hub on a daily basis, whether you're participating on Zeely, engaging with our social media. That also is really important for us to grow and to gain visibility, and then to also further our partnerships, which then becomes a very much strong positive flywheel effect, right? As more and more users are following us and engaging with our network, we can then pursue larger and larger partnerships within the broader ecosystem, and as well as not only within the Web3 space, but also in traditional Web2 ecosystem as well. I think, given all the events that have been happening in the past year, more late of last year, where, a lot of people were having issues with their applications because AWS going down and things of that nature. A lot of these companies are looking for alternatives in terms of having storage accessibility and things like that. And I think this is also a great opportunity for us to basically, dive into that market and also carve a space where, traditionally it's been very heavily dominated by, these big players. And I think more and more companies are slowly realizing they need to have a lot of alternative backups and can't fully 100% rely on, just AWS or Google Cloud or Azure or whatever the case may be. So it's a really exciting time for, where Lumera is being positioned. And I think all of you should be, extremely excited for this ride as well. Is there anything you would like to add, Anthony, or should we start, letting our audience ask questions, and then we'll go from there?
Yeah, no, I think that covers it. I think we should jump into questions.
Okay, so if anybody has a question, I guess feel free to, raise your hand, put you as a speaker, or if you're, a little shy, that's okay as well. More than happy to answer any questions where people have made, wrote a comment on it. If you're also in our Discord, and it's easier for you to type out that question there, please, fire it off in the general chat. Happy to answer the questions through there as well.
Here's one question. Is Foundry another points or airdrop farming program? What's the best way to optimize? No, right? So Foundry, looks familiar on the surface, but the difference is really what you're rewarded for. And, it may look like the focus is generating XP, which obviously it is, and that XP does drive, obviously, points that are directly correlated with the ability to earn Loom as an airdrop. But rewards in this case for generating XP are tied to using real parts of the network. Things that we talked about, right? Storing data on Cascade, being an early user of Hub, participating in the testnet, staking, protocol interactions. So it's not just clicking buttons or doing social tasks, and we're very, very much so active with regards to ensuring that there's not necessarily a lot of spam or airdrop farming that comes into play. And so the most important thing to keep in mind is that when you're working with Foundry, it's if you're not actually engaging with Lumera, Foundry's not going to do much for you. Here's another one. How does Foundry benefit Loom holders long term? So again, right, Foundry really bootstraps real usage instead of speculative traffic. More real usage means more fees, better validator economics, and really less reliance on emissions over time. And that's how we're building a sustainable token economy instead of really a hype cycle.
Oh, I'm not sure why from my end I'm unable to see any comments.
Here's another one. Does Foundry end once TG happens? So, good question, and the short answer is no, right? The idea here is that this is going to continue to evolve over time. We've had multiple seasons of Foundry, season 0, season 1, season 2, which we're on now. And so early on, Foundry helps onboard and educate users as it's done, and particularly when we're in the testnet phase, now the mainnet phase. Over time, it becomes obviously a way to surface new features, new programs, and really deepen participation across the network. Here's another one. Who is Lumera actually built for, and who's using it now? So Lumera, again, it's built for teams and developers and users who want infrastructure they can rely on, not something they farm for a few weeks and leave. This is things like data storage, inference for workloads, etc. If you're focused on data, AI, and long-lived decentralized applications, Lumera is really built for you, which is why we've had a lot of success integrating with a vast variety of different types of clients and partners across the Web3 ecosystem. Most recently, Injective in the DeFi world, focused on persistent data storage for things like on-chain order books, dexes, etc. A few other partnerships that will be announced in the coming weeks, other large-scale layer ones that are focused on a variety of different use cases. And it's exciting to obviously see that things are continuing to progress over time.
Yeah, just to quickly add a little onto that, a lot of teams that, we've been speaking to, they've definitely had a lot of their own expressed frustrations with, existing solutions within the general Web3 ecosystem. Whether it's like mainly using IPFS and things like that. So it was really interesting for them to hear this new kind of solution that we've built, and they're definitely extremely excited to integrate and try it out, and ultimately have that kind of support within their own application or their layer one.
Definitely. Vincent, is there anything else you want to add before we kind of close out here? If anyone has any final questions or wants to comment.
I think the only thing is just that, I know sometimes a lot of you kind of reach out to me on Discord. I try my best to reply. I know right now it's just there's a lot of moving pieces that I'm like responsible for, trying to get a lot of these partnerships finalized, trying to get the ball rolling in many directions all at once. And it's one of those things I really appreciate the patience, where, sometimes it feels like not a lot is happening, but when everything happens, it happens all at once kind of thing. So, I know like I do try to get back to everybody as soon as I can. But yeah, I'll try to, be more, responsive on Discord and things like that. going forward, but sometimes it is a little difficult, and I hope that all of you can understand that. I'm working really hard here.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome.
If there's no more further questions, I guess we can wrap things up for today's AMA and Twitter space. I just want to remind everybody that tomorrow I'll also be on another Twitter space speaking. So please please look forward to that as well. It's going to be with a trading platform. They're hosting a AMA, or not an AMA, but like I guess like a Twitter space, and I'll be one of the participants speaking on that space as well. So if you want to, learn more and hear more about our thoughts and what we are building and all of that, please join. And yeah, thank you everybody for joining our AMA today. We're really grateful for everybody's support, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, everyone.